Who the hell does he think he is? Breaking all the rules. Why, this guy's so far out of the box, he could be an alien. Oh, that's scary. Is he an alien? Is he a real wizard?
Yeah.
Of course he is, and this is the Harvey Wizard Show. So put your hands together for the 65-year-old badass himself, Harvey Wizard!
Thank you. So this is where I get to take full advantage of being virtually untouchable from my U.S. presidential campaign headquarters here in Costa Rica. And it's time for another episode of Scumbag Spotlight. Yeah, this is where I expose the ugly truth about the powerful who pick on the little guy, and nobody else will. Today, you're going to hear why Dr. Elias Saikali, a Millennium physician group in Jacksonville, Florida, shouldn't be trusted with anyone's health. A complete violation of the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm, Dr. Saikali cruelly put my guest, who you'll meet in a moment, into homelessness just because he refused to fill out a form. And the damage didn't stop there. Mutual of Omaha's Joyce Triplett and Greg Richt only made matters worse. There's a special place in hell for these two. But this isn't about blame, it's about exposing the system, shining a light where nobody else dares, and hopefully getting some compensation for my guest who was injured. So please, if you know anybody in the Jacksonville, Florida area, share this, ask them to share this. If Dr. Saikali can't hide under a rock, he might actually have to do the right thing. So let me introduce today's guest, Les Dooley, and let's hear his story firsthand. Hello, everybody. This is the Harvey Wizard Show. It's a special Guerrilla Justice in Action edition. And I'm here with my guest, Les Dooley. A show I wish I didn't have to make. But let me give you a brief overview of what's going on, and then we'll hear from Les. And again, why are we doing this? Well, first of all, hopefully to help Les by bringing his story to more people, so people know what's going on. In turn, to make sure that the people that have done this to him, the doctors, the people in insurance who have left him in the situation he's in, are forced to face justice of some kind. Are you allowed to do these things to people? That's the question. So on today's show, we're talking about what happens when medical bureaucracy stops seeing a human being and starts treating a person like a disposable file folder. Now, my guest, Les, was disabled, just trying to get the benefits that he was entitled to. And he was basically pushed into homelessness because Dr. Elias Saikali, a doctor at Millennium Physician Group in Jacksonville, Florida, refused to complete a simple form that his disability payments depended on. So, just to be clear, this is not a minor paperwork snafu. Because when a physician knows that refusing to sign a form will cut off disability income and still refuses, then the consequence isn't clerical. It's a human being ending up on the street, which is, well, Les will give you the details in a minute. But so I'm not making wild accusations. I'm just shining a floodlight, and we're going to walk you through what happened. And we are inviting Dr. Saikali and Millennium Physician Group to respond on this show via writing in any way at any time. And just so everybody listening and watching knows, we've made multiple attempts. I have made multiple attempts to contact Dr. Saikali and Millennium Physician Group by fax, because that's the only way you can contact these people. That's strange, isn't it? And of course, I've gotten no response whatsoever. So let's introduce Les Dooley. And Les, why don't you tell your story, I guess, a brief overview of how you became disabled and what led to you needing this form that Dr. Sakali refused to fill out.
Yes. I was a patient of a doctor named Dr. George Camacho. He was at North, the physicians group used to be called North Florida Medical Associates in Jacksonville. It's now Millennium. Um, but Dr. Camacho was my doctor for over 15 years. I showed up one day for an appointment to see him, and he had left the practice. They assigned me to Dr. Saikali. Now they have an extensive file on my health history at that practice. I mean, Dr. Saikali could have just simply gone through the file and reviewed it, but he didn't do that. He just threw me under the bus. My health issues started in 2003. I fell down my stairs in my house, and I wasn't drinking or anything during the night, and I suffered a head injury by hitting my head on the ceramic tile at the bottom of the stairs and broke my left arm. From then, I went on to my private disability policy that I had been paying for years with Mutual of Omaha. And
I'm just going to stop you for a second just so we can all,
okay,
keep track of the story. So the cause of the disability was this fall, and
that
what
was
were the longer term results of the fall? I'm assuming the arm healed. It was probably something related to what happened to your head.
right. Well, there's it's a whole myriad of health issues that arose in the coming 20 years. Not just from the fall.
Okay, so you were you on disability prior to the fall?
No,
Okay, but so what you're saying is that this fall just exacerbated
it's
health issues that were already there, and it just pushed things to a. And the point is that as a result of this, it sounds like you had been on disability for years, and it was proven, and with Dr. Camacho, it sounds like, and so this was just something that the insurance company, that the doctors had all acknowledged. And now suddenly simply because one doctor leaves the practice and the other one just decides to be a jerk. I guess this is really where we are because he was simply asked, as I understand, to fill out a form to confirm.
write a letter confirming my health condition.
Right. But the interesting thing is, it wasn't as though he disagreed with the what was in the file. He simply refused to do it,
Right.
right?
Right.
And what was his reason for refusing? Did he give
I
one?
didn't talk to him. The office staff just said he's not going to write the letter.
That was right, as cruel and as simple as that. And then this, as I take it, was compounded by now we get to, I guess, to some extent, Greg Richt and Joyce Triplett and Mutual of Omaha in terms of using the fact that they didn't get a response as a justification for just killing your disability payments, right? So just
Right.
like walk us through that a little bit.
Yes. Dr. Saikali wrote Joyce Triplett a letter explaining that he filled out my disability income forms. She then asked him to clarify my health condition, which, like I said, he could have done. He could have just went in my file and looked because I had had a grand mal seizure. I had had a TIA. I had some high blood pressure issues, which caused me to have the real problems. But he didn't do that, and he's it was just totally unnecessary. I mean, I have documentation from the Mayo Clinic where I went to have my balance checked out because
Mm-hmm.
of the head injury.
Right.
And they have Mutual of Omaha has all that. All that information is in my file, uh, and um, basically, I got a call from Joyce Triplett in around Christmas of 2017,
Mm-hmm.
and she told me that I didn't have health insurance at the time, but she told me that the company had decided that I was no longer disabled, and they were going to cut my benefits off, and that's what they proceeded to do. And I only had they had paid me benefits for 17 years. I only had 6 more years left on my policy, and then I would have aged out of coverage.
Right.
And I would have been 65, and I'd be on Social Security at the time, which I am now. But anyway, that's what they did, and Dr.
And just
Scully.
and this is what people need to understand. Even, part of why I do this is, yes, I think is to expose, I mean, because I'm gonna, we'll show a picture somewhere of Dr. Saikali with his great big smile, hawking himself to patients who don't know that when it comes down to it, he doesn't give a crap. Or he
Right.
appears not to give a crap by the way he treated you, and one can only suspect that this is likely a larger pattern. I mean, I would never go to Dr. Sakali for anything. I don't know if any of you guys would want to hearing this. But so the point is, one missing of a detail, one just, I don't care. And whatever job you have, if your job has to do with people. So as a result of just this refusal to fill out a form, and unless you told me this before, I have to go through it, but just so that people understand, when I say that Dr. Sakeli is guilty of malpractice, and I believe, based on Les's story, I believe the damages exceed $250,000. But what after this, after he refused to write the form, I mean, you were living certainly not in a mansion, but you were living okay before, and then what happened as a result of this refusal to fill out a simple form?
Well, the looking back on it, what happened was when they cut my money off, I was unable to make my house payment. I only owed $70,000 on my house.
And what was the total value of the house at that point?
Oh,
Just
probably around 250.
okay. So
It
you
just
basically had 180,000 in equity at that point.
yeah
And then the
it
last,
just
and yeah,
it just sold again um, in the summer for $415,000.
right.
Um, so I I would have been I easily lost $200,000, maybe possibly even $300,000.
Right. And not including the pain and suffering. So then how did you live? So now what happens is you don't get money coming in, you lose your house, and then where do you exist? How do you exist? And how long were you in that situation?
Well, my wife at the time was getting Social Security disability, and my mother, uh, who was alive at the time, was helping me with $1,000 a month.
This is while you're still living in your house, or whether when you were already forced out of your
No,
house?
no, it was while we were still in the house, and while I was trying to find an attorney to help me,
Hmm.
and I could never find an attorney to help me. I ended up finding one, but they ended up screwing me worse than you know, because they didn't hold Mutual of Omaha accountable for any punitive damages. They
Hmm.
just got my benefits started, and they kept 40% of my benefit amount.
So wait, so you're saying that actually in the end you hired an attorney who did get your benefits restarted, They were not able to get you any damages for either what Dr. Saikali had done that initiated all of this, or what Mutual of Omaha had done to sort of take advantage of one paper not being sent in. I mean, from a pure, which is probably why you won, right? Because anybody looking at this fairly would say that they were, you know, that Dr. Sakali cruelly didn't do what any normal human being would have done. And then, Joyce Triplett and Mutual of Omaha took advantage of that as an excuse to cut off your last 6 years of benefits and leave you in the situation. So after you stopped having, I guess, the income of your ex-wife and your mother, then that do to your living situation?
Well, Harvey, I've been homeless since 2019. Um, I was, I mentioned Belize. I had a friend from high school that he was building a house in Belize, and we were going to go down there and do some businesses together.
Mm-hmm.
On August the 12th, he
Of which
passed
year?
away. So he 2019.
Oh,
He
okay.
passed
I'm,
away
I'm
suddenly.
sorry. I understand. So that happened as well.
The
So that would have.
next day, the next day, August the 13th, I had a hemorrhagic stroke in my home,
I'm sorry.
and
Mm-hmm.
um, for those who don't know it, a hemorrhagic stroke is caused by the blood pressure being so out of control that you start bleeding from your brain,
Okay.
and that's what happened to me. I spent 2 weeks basically at Shands Hospital, University of Florida Hospital in Jacksonville, Florida, in ICU. I'm very fortunate that I don't have any really bad residual effects from what happened.
Right.
But since that time, I've been I've been living in motels. I've been renting rooms, uh, and it's I'm just barely existing, and that's why when I first came to you,
Mm-hmm.
um, I was I'm really hoping you can help me, because the legal system doesn't really give a crap.
No,
And
well, yeah, if unless you are going to pay them enough money for them to feel it's worth their while. So what I'm hoping as a result of this, because if you're seeing this podcast or a piece of this podcast, um, share it with, especially with anybody you know in Jacksonville, because we need to make sure that the Jacksonville community understands the damage that Millennium Physician Group and Dr. Sakali has done to Les. And it's, it's a matter of not having this be hidden, which is when you run your business like Millennium Physician Group with a phone number that goes to one corporation, it's impossible to actually talk to the doctor or the actual real person. They won't even give out an email address to send them something important, whatever. Everything has to be done by fax. Now, so I'm going to say right there that Millennium Physician Group and Dr. Sakali, the fact that they work only by fax tells us all something about them. And I'm I'm hoping that others will feel as I do that Les was improperly treated, to say put it mildly, and deserves compensation for what was done to him as a result of Dr. Sakali's, we're going to call it medical malpractice, even though it was a matter of a form, as well as Mutual of Omaha, who should have paid punitive damages in addition to restarting those disability payments. So thank you Les, for telling your story, and let it be a warning, to everyone. If you feel that you're being mistreated by your physician, don't assume don't let it go. I'm here to help if you need it, but just to know that holding people accountable and refusing, even if they're doctors, whatever their degree is or whatever level of intimidation they're using against you, is to know that they can't hide forever. So thank you, Les, and we're going to do everything we can to
Thank you, Harvey. Appreciate
tell
you
your
very much.
story. And there you have it. Another story of power abusing the little guy, and another example of why my scumbag spotlight exists. If you think these people can just get away with it, think again. My guest, Les Dooley, showed us exactly what happens when the system fails and why it's up to us to expose the truth. Remember, this isn't just about outrage, it's about knowledge, leverage, and holding the powerful accountable. So as I said, if you know anybody in the Jacksonville, Florida area, please share this episode. Ask them to share it. If people knew what Dr. Saikali and Millennium Physician Group were doing, they wouldn't use their services and we would get some necessary change. If you like this episode, make sure to subscribe, share it with anyone who would like to see the ugly truth, and keep an eye out for the next episode. Because we're not backing down, and neither should you. This is Harvey Wizard signing off from Costa Rica, your untouchable guide to seeing the truth no one else will tell you.